I declare that I will well and truly serve Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors according to law, as an airman in the Royal Australian Air Force, for the period approved or until my service is sooner lawfully terminated, that I will resist her enemies, and in all appertaining to my service I will faithfully discharge my duty according to law. June the 5th, 1979. Australia Day, a holiday, 26th of Jan, honouring the establishment of the first permanent European settlement on the continent of Australia. Or was it? We'll see. On January the 26th, 1788, Arthur Phillip, who'd sailed into what's now Sydney Cove with 11 shiploads of convicts, on the morning, Saturday morning, of the 28th of Jan, the colours were displayed, the British flag was thrown, and possession of the country was taken formally in the name of King George III, even though Cook had already done it, 18 years earlier. Yeah, not to worry. Job done. End of story. Not so fast. Of course, there's more to this. Now, I'm not an invasion day kind of guy. I know there are serious grievances the native people in Australia have with the way they were treated, and I get that. But I'm not convinced this is helpful, and I'm not convinced it's going to sort out the problems heading into the future. But, that's just my opinion. But it's a free country, whatever rings your bells. The name's not important. All's the day, really, as you will see. What is important is not to forget to be an Australian. More of that at the end of the video. So should we celebrate Australia Day? Of course we should. It's in the song. Australians all let us rejoice, for we are young and free. A lot of Australians have paid the ultimate price to keep it that way, and we shouldn't forget that. I learnt God Save the Queen when I went to school. Trans Australia Fair was around, but it wasn't our anthem. I was a pretty fair kid growing up in North Queensland, blonde hair, and I thought they were talking about us, the fair, Advance Australia and the fair. But anyway, I was young. What would I know? So I think God Save the Queen, or the King as it is nowadays, some of the verses haven't aged well. Let's have a look at this one. Lord, grant that Marshal Wade may by thy mighty aid victory bring. May he sedition hush, like a torrent rush, rebellious Scots to crush. God save the King. That hasn't aged well. Now, pretty much everyone who had a ship had a crack at Australia or New Holland. There was a Chinese name for it. I'm not even going to try and say it. But only the British stuck. They are dogged, tenacious, and ingenious. There's no question of that. Starting about 1,000 years ago, people from what's now Indonesia would come down here to harvest beach tamar or the sea cucumbers, and they had contact with Aboriginal people and they were trading bits and pieces as far back as then. The earliest Chinese contact with Australia appears to have been from fishermen, again coming down to the north coast of Australia looking for both sea cucumbers, and they were travelling inland looking for sandalwood, which is highly priced in China then as it is now. And there's a Chinese map from 1477 that shows the top coast of Australia, what was believed to be the top coast of Australia. So, it makes sense. There have been some Chinese coins and pottery shards found on the islands off Darwin that are from the Qing dynasty, which is 1650-ish. So they were here. They didn't do the east coast, probably not even the west coast. They came to get what they wanted. Various Spanish and Portuguese bumped into Australia, hence its name, New Holland, as it was known for quite some time. And, in 1606, a Dutch navigator, William Janssen, made the first confirmed sighting of Australia. 1606, 170 years before Cook. In 1616, Dirk Hartog, we learned about him at school, landed on Dirk Hartog Island, which is off West Australia, off Perth. In 1662, Abel Tasman, a man we know a lot about in Australia, sailed along the southern coast of Australia, mistaking it for Van Diemen's Land, which it clearly was not. That's 130 years before Cook. Cook shows up in 1770, charts the east coast of Australia, claims it for the British Crown, but in the following year, a Frenchman who was in the Indian Ocean landed near Perth and claimed it for France, not knowing each other had done what they did. He actually left a bottle there with a French flag in it, which has been found and is now in the museum in Western Australia. 1788, the colony established at Sydney Cove. Well, they tried to establish us at Botany Bay, but Botany Bay was a bit crap. So they moved up to Sydney Cove. About a month afterwards. 1803, the French attempted to establish a settlement in Port Phillip Bay, where Melbourne was. I wonder why Melbourne had such cool food. And Western Australia was founded as a penal colony in 1829, so that predates, that's around the time Brisbane was developed, or Moreton Bay, as they say. And in 1901, the states federated and became the Commonwealth of Australia. There's a date for you. We'll have more of a look at the detail of that, I think. Let's just have a brief look back at Arthur Phillip. He doesn't get a whole lot of history. Yeah, we hear about him and, Governor Phillip, Captain Phillip, which is what he was. He was Commodore Phillip, actually, because it was a fleet. Now, this sea voyage is important. We don't hear much about it. There was 11 ships. It was one of the world's greatest sea voyages at the time. 11 vessels carrying about 1,500 people travelled for 252 days, more than 15,000 miles. That's 24,000 kilometres in here, without losing a ship. That's pretty hot. 48 people died on the journey, which is pretty good for that time. Now, on that, he had 245 Marines, 45 Marines' wives, and 9 children, which were born on the journey. He had 543 male convicts, 189 female convicts, 11 children convicts. No, they weren't born on the journey. They convicted and jailed and transported children. Wasn't all beer and skittles in those days. 11 babies were born on the way. Took a long time, 252 days. So that's 788 males, 234 females. No wonder it was called a penal colony. These numbers are a bit fuzzy because the manifests were lost. And it doesn't include the crews of the ships, because the crews of the ships stayed on the ships. Mostly, some of the ships stayed here. A lot of them went back to England because they had to come and resupply the colony. So, Australia Day. Well, obviously it's the 1st of January 1901 was when the Federation of the Commonwealth of Australia was created. Or was it? Because who owns Australia? Well, nowadays it's King Charles III. King Chuckles III owns this country, owns your land. Your freehold land your house is built on is by permission of the Crown, and the Crown is King Charles. Don't forget that, and his relatives. So he still owns Australia to this day. We should have fixed that once. We had a chance and we blew it. But anyway, that's another video. I'll be waffling on too long here. We've got to wind this up. So what happened? Well, after we passed our constitution, it went to England, Queen Victoria, to get royal assent, to make it official. And it got royal assent in July of 1900. So, it was, when exactly did we become a federation? I don't know. But I know it wasn't the 26th of January. That's the wrong day. So when you hear all these people waffling on, and they are, about the day, Australia Day, and wokeworths and all this other garbage, really? How about we make a rule? If you're going to print an Australian flag on something, it's got to be made in Australia. That'll do. That simplifies it all, doesn't it? And don't treat the flag with disrespect, like printing it on thongs or budgie smugglers. There's no more disrespect than some person's bum crack covered by the Australian flag on a beach. That's not right. We don't be doing that. Or some bloody toothpick with an Australian flag on it shoved in some sausage. No, that's not what being an Australian is. It really isn't. Now, I don't care whether you pray to Mecca or you pray to McDonald's. If you're fair dinkum about what you do, that's good enough. It really is. Treat people with respect. It's really that simple. If you want to celebrate Australia Day, go and find a veteran who's doing it tough and just say g'day. Sit down, have a chat. Or find a widow from one of our fallen soldiers. Go and mow their yard for them. Find a pensioner who's doing it tough, and there are a lot of pensioners doing it tough. Say g'day. Find a homeless dude living in a tent in one of the most prosperous countries in the world, in one of the most prosperous times we've ever had. You won't have to go far. Just say g'day. Ask them if there's anything they need. Help at a kitchen that cooks food for these people. Volunteer. Don't go to the beach and slam cricket balls all over the place and, cover yourself in zinc. All that is fun. But frankly, every day should be Australia Day. Let's not just have one day where and I'm not trying to knock off a public holiday here, I'll take it, don't worry about that. But, it is not the 26th of January. It's every day. Keep rocking. T-Rock's out.